channel. So today we're doing a get ready with me talk through version. My last tutorial was a voiceover, so I figured I would sit down with you guys for this one, and I'm trying out a bunch of new makeup. So this one's gonna be a long one, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna start off with my brows, and I'm using my Anastasia Beverly Hills brow definer in Ebony, and I'm just gonna fill in my brows like I always do. These days I've been using more of a pencil. I haven't really reached for my pomade. And you guys want me to do a eyebrow microblading video. I did talk about it in the vlog that I did when I got my brows done, but if you want me to do an update, I definitely can, although they are fading because I did get it done in January and I did get one touch-up, but I waited way too long to get my touch-up, so I might have to go in and get them done again. I have to speak to Pirette. She's the one who did my brows. I went to the eyebrow doctor. A lot of you guys have been asking me for a video on it. I just kind of want to have them a little bit darker, a little bit fuller before doing that video, because I still do fill in my brows. I don't really think I would ever not fill them in, just because when you put makeup on, it just looks more complete when you have your eyebrows filled in my opinion. Unless you have like naturally super full dark brows, then you are blessed and you don't have to worry about your eyebrows. But on my face, it just completes the look. So these days I really haven't been doing too much to them. I think I need to go get a new one of these because it seems dry almost, which is weird because I always close it right away. But I'm using the shade Ebony, but sometimes I'll use dark brown, medium brown, just depends on the look. I usually do my brows like this pretty messily, and then I'll conceal them and then go back to them later. That's just how I prefer to do them. So I'm going to take this Luxie concealer brush, and I'm using the NARS Custard concealer. This is the soft matte one. Even though I just got my brows started today, I still need to clean them up and cover up some of this redness, and I'm just going to speed through this because it's nothing new. I use the NARS concealer also as an eyeshadow base, so I'm just going to set my whole eyelid and anywhere where I applied that concealer. And before we get started with the eyes, I'm just going to start prepping my skin. So I'm going to use this Urban Decay Rehab Makeup Prep Hot Springs Hydrating Gel. So this is encapsulated water. So I'm just going to use whatever's on the cap, and it feels really hydrating, and when you put it on, it almost just turns into water. So it's not supposed to leave you oily. It doesn't have that like greasy feel. It just feels really refreshing and cold actually. So I'm hoping this is going to hydrate my skin because I just did a hydrating mask, the one from Too Cool for School, and it kind of left me a little bit sticky, so I just rinsed that off. And so when I rinsed my face felt really like tight and dry, so hopefully this is hydrating enough. It definitely feels cooling and refreshing, so I'm just gonna let that kind of chill there. If you're oily, you should check this out because it's super gel-like, hydrating but not sticky or greasy. It just feels like it already absorbed. Just for a little extra oomph, I'm gonna use this Barbor cleansing thermal spray. This is a moisturizing spray for the face and body, pure thermal water, and it refreshes and calms the skin. Oh, that smells so good. So I asked you guys on Snapchat what palette you guys wanted me to use. If you wanted me to use the Natasha Denona Sunset palette, the Jouer Skinny Dip, or the new iluvsarahii collection. And so many of you asked for the Natasha Denona Sunset palette, so that's what we're going to be using today. I ordered this on Sephora, and I don't even know how I got it because I know it's like sold out everywhere. People are leaving bad reviews everywhere saying that they can't get their hands on it, but I don't think that's fair to leave a bad review on a product just because you couldn't get your hands on it. Like, I know sometimes launches are messy, but if the product, you haven't even tried it yet, don't leave a bad review. I don't know, that's just my opinion. So this palette retails for $129, which I know is a lot. This palette is retailing for $129, which I know seems like a lot. Natasha Denona palettes are quite pricey, but when I saw these colors, I knew I had to have this one. I've been wanting a yellow shadow. I love the browns in here, the bronzy colors. You get some shimmers. It says it includes all 4 of Natasha Denona's classic formulas in chroma, crystal, matte, and metallic. So you do get an array of different formulas, but to me they're just either shimmery or they're matte. Since this palette doesn't really have a good neutral light brown, it has a light pink, pink, but not like a good transition color for me, I'm going to use this Melt Cosmetics Blur shade, and I'm going to use the same Senna feather brush that I used in my last tutorial, and I'm just going to go ahead and apply that to my crease slash transition area. So what I do is I look down into a mirror and then I just apply there. You could use your bronzer or your contour. This color is really nice because it's light and it helps like blur eyeshadows. You used to only be able to get your hands on this color if you bought the whole stack, the Dark Matter stack, but they do carry these shadows separate now, which is really nice. So I'm just going to apply that to my crease area slash transition area. So now I'm going to warm things up a little bit, and I'm going to use this second shade, which is called Sinai. It looks pretty matte, but it does have a tiny bit of shimmer, but I don't think it's going to show up in the crease. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this. So I'm going to use that same brush, and I'm just going to apply that a little bit more precisely just to start building up that crease color. Right off the bat, this shade looks gorgeous. Seems really easy to blend. Some of the other Natasha Denona palettes, for me, the mattes were a little bit messy, like they just all kind of blended into each other, but this one seems to be going on really, really nicely. And my eyelids have been doing a lot better, just in case you were wondering. They're not dry anymore, so I'm so excited about that. I mean, they're a little bumpy right now because I got them threaded, but there's no dryness, so you don't have to hear me complaining about that. That's going on really nicely. Wow, I literally didn't even dip my brush in twice. I'm just spreading that out with one tap. You can see how much color payoff I'm getting here. This palette I don't think is a good everyday palette, although I know when people see browns they think, oh, everyday, but me personally, I don't like to wear, you know, bright orange, like if I'm just going just down the block, or like if I was in school or working in an office. I mean, do you, boo? Like if you want to wear bright orange, you can do that, but I think that's more suitable for nighttime or if you're just really into makeup. But I don't know, for me, living in New York, like bright orange, I don't know, it's just not my style. But I like these looks obviously because I love warm colors. I just don't think they're suitable for like everyone. I just think they're suitable for those who really like to experiment with color and are not afraid of it. So I don't know, you guys be the judge of it. The golds, don't get me wrong, those are perfect, and like the cooler shades I think are really suitable, like the white you can get off with. For my style personally, my everyday eyeshadow is something a little bit more neutral, like the shade that I just applied before, the blur shade, that's more of my style for like an everyday crease color. Something a little lighter, a little, you know, more toned down. But you do you do what makes you feel comfortable, makes you feel great. So far so good. I didn't have any trouble blending that out. So now I'm gonna jump into the yellow shade, which I'm so excited to use. And yellows can be really tricky. They can be really chalky, not pigmented. I am prepared to do a couple of layers of this yellow because I know with colors like that you do have to kind of layer them on. I'm gonna use this Smith brush. This is the 253. This one packs on really nicely, so I'm just gonna dive right in. I'm scared but excited, and this color is called Soul. Dipping my brush in, there's not too much fallout. I'm kind of just getting all up in there just to really pack on that brush. Compared to some other shadows that I have, this is actually pretty minimal fallout. Let me zoom you in just a little bit more. So let's go ahead and see how this goes. And I'm not going to use a white base underneath because I just want to see how this shadow performs on its own. That looks really good. Hopefully my lights aren't blowing out the colors, but in person it's looking very pigmented. I have not dipped my brush in again. I'm just using what I have on the brush, and it is looking really good. I'm super impressed with that pigmentation. I just dipped my brush in right now for the first time just to get a little bit more pigment on there, but I am very impressed. I've had so many palettes with yellows and they just never worked out, which is why I never used yellow in a tutorial. The only other yellow that I ever was interested in was the Makeup Forever yellow. I think OCC also makes a good yellow. I've always wanted to use a yellow shadow, especially like in the inner corner. I think that looks really pretty. But this is going on really, really nicely. Not patchy, not dry. It's blending out really well. I was too excited to apply this that I didn't even continue my crease, but I'll go back to it right now. I just really wanted to see how this yellow was gonna go on, and it's going on. It definitely is. I'm very impressed, Natasha. I do have a tiny bit of fallout, which I feel like I have with every single palette. I mean, it's very rare for me to have no fallout. For such a bright color, not to be chalky, not to be powdery, it's very, very shocking right now. So I'm just gonna pack this onto my liking, and I hope you can buy this shade on its own because I think this is like the star of the show here. I don't know about you, but It's looking good to me. Now I'm gonna go back into that warm brown and a little bit of this darker brown here right next to the gold. So I'm just mixing those two shades, and I'm taking that on a Smith 230 brush, and I'm just gonna deepen the crease just a little bit and also connect my crease to my lash line with the point of the brush. I do want a pretty dark outer corner. I'm just applying this in a V shape right here in the corner and then just connecting it to my crease. With this kind of look, you definitely need patience and you need a lot of layering because there's going to be a lot of blending and a lot of adding on. This shade definitely has a little bit more fallout. Also because I'm not packing, I'm blending, so it's natural for it to have some fallout. As long as the shadows blend into each other nicely, I'm okay with that. I feel like I look like a Fanta soda, I don't know. I'm just wiping this away with some Herborian micellar water, which is actually really nice and gentle on the eyes. I'm used to using a wipe, which can dry everything out, but this is actually really good. Now I'm gonna take this dark brown shade right over here, and I'm going to do that same thing, outer V, and connect it into the crease, connecting my lower lash line to the crease but focusing on the outer edge. And I'm creating a little bit of a V shape, which is going to go with the wing liner. Now I'm going to take Horizon on the same feather brush. It's a really pretty orange, and I'm just going to lightly go over the crease just to add a little more orange, although that first crease shade is actually really orange. It turned out to be more orange than it looks in the pan, so just going to go over it a little bit just to kind of start blending everything in together. And I'm also going to apply it right in the middle of the yellow and the dark brown. So I'm actually not that impressed with the orange in the palette, the actual orange shade. So I'm just going to use a little bit of Morocco from the Juvia's Place Nubian 2 palette, which I used in my last video, just because I want a little bit more orange in between the yellow and the brown, and the other palette is just not working for me. So this I know is pigmented, so I'm just going to apply it right in the middle of that yellow. Yep, that's exactly what I wanted, just a little bit more orange. The orange in the Natasha Denona palette is just not adding on to the yellow for some reason. Maybe on its own it's pigmented, but on top of this really pigmented yellow, it is just not showing up. So I'm gonna pack on this Morocco right on top. I'm going to apply my liquid liner before I apply some darker shadows and some black eyeshadow, just so that I can kind of like smoke out my liner. So I'm just going to do my wing, and I'm using the Balm Schwing liner, which is my favorite. It's so dark, so black. I absolutely love it. I'm going to do my wing just so I can see like where I'm going and what I need to blend more and all that jazz. So I kind of use this as like a marker, and then I'll apply some black shadow right after. And because this palette doesn't have a black eyeshadow, I'm going to use the Natasha Denona Blackest Black Matte Eyeshadow. And I'm going to be using this Wayne Goss 04 brush. And I'm just going to lightly connect that wing liner to that outer crease. Just a little bit. I'm not really a fan of black eyeshadow, but I kind of just want to smoke it out a tiny bit. So the same kind of like V shape. So it's helpful to look down into a mirror, and you just want to blend this. And this stuff is so pigmented, this shadow, this black shadow. Really pigmented, but it's easy to blend, which I like. Blacks can be a big pain in the butt. And this eyeliner is so black that you do need like a pretty black shadow if you're going to want to connect it, because if it's not a really black eyeshadow, it's gonna look so light compared to this super matte black wing liner that we got going on here. So I'm gonna do the same thing to this side. This side just always comes out worse. I don't know. This eye does yoga, relaxes, gets a whole 8 hours of sleep. And this eye just, I don't know, watches Netflix all day and just chills out. I don't know if it's because it sags more, but all my eyeshadows look worse on this eye. So I have to work a little harder, which I usually just get so lazy and tired of it that I don't. A little more orange. I'm using that Morocco so that it blends into each other. You could always go over the liner, but you want to make sure that the shadows aren't getting too blended or just taken over by anything else. These are the lashes that I'm using today. These are Flutter lashes, Intoxicating. They're super full and they do wing out, which I like. So I'm going to trim them and go ahead and apply them. And I'm actually using a new glue. I've been trying this one out. This glue is called Glue Boo. You know when the lash is so full that you don't know which side is the end and which is the beginning? That's how I feel with these lashes. I don't know if that's the front of the lash, the end of the lash, because it's full all throughout. And while the lash dries, I'm just going to start priming my face. Even though I applied moisturizer, I'm still going to apply a primer. I'm going to use the Sisley Double Tenseur Primer. I hate to love this because it's so expensive, but I have been loving it. It just really creates a nice sticky base for your foundation. And I'm going to use a little bit of the Smashbox Photo Finish Radiance Primer. They just sent this to me. This is a light loving primer, and you guys know I like highlighting and all that jazz. So I'm not going to apply this everywhere, just like in this area. Sometimes Radiance primers are too radiant, so let's see. Ooh, that feels really nice. It doesn't feel super sticky, which I'm surprised. Most glowy primers will leave me really sticky or feeling dry, but this one is actually moisturizing and it's giving me a glow. So I'm digging this. The glue is still drying, so I'm gonna just let that chill out for a little bit. So I'm gonna go in with this Hourglass foundation in the shade Nude. Just going to swipe some everywhere. I probably should have used something a little bit more fluid. This one is pretty matte on me, but we'll see how it goes. Pretty right. And for a brush, I'm going to use the Hourglass brush that you're supposed to use with it. My pores look huge, so I'm going to buff this out really quickly. And then I'm going to use my Beauty Blender right on top to just give me more of a natural look, because I tend to just apply a little bit too much of this. And the Beauty Blender will just kind of soak up any extra product. And with this, I'm kind of just pressing in and doing downwards motions, not swiping all around, because you don't want to move the product. You just kind of want to buff it in. And this color looks really, really good. I used to use the shade Beige. Beige is just a little bit too yellowish, greenish for my skin color. This one is a lot better for my color right now because I'm pretty fair. So I'm just going to buff that in really quickly. You have to work pretty fast with this one. And then I'll just apply my Beauty Blender right on top to soak up any extra product and to give me more of a natural look. Applied a little bit more yellow, and now I'm just going to conceal. I'm using the NARS matte concealer in Custard again, and I'm just going to apply that first with a brush, and then I'll go ahead and blend it out with the Beauty Blender. I like applying it with a brush because you get to really apply it where you want to apply it, and I like this shade because it's not too bright, but it still has a yellow undertone, which I love, and I could apply it easier with a brush onto my nose. I've just been picking this up so much more than my Shape Tape. It's not cakey, doesn't crease, it's matte. You can blend it out with a brush, but I just like the Beauty Blender because it soaks up any excess. Just blend that in. I kind of want to do this thing where I only wear black clothes on my YouTube. I think it'll be a cool little thing. Only wear black, because I pretty much only wear black in real life. So I want to buy every black shirt that has ever been made. I feel like Daria, when she opens up her closet and it's just all black. That's me. I don't know what to do on my lower lash line. I don't know if I should smoke it out. Yellow, orange. I already did orange. I'm thinking either black, smoked out, or yellow. This is where I wish I was live with you guys, because you guys could tell me what you think would go best. So I'm going to be cream contouring. I'm going to use this Laura Mercier Soleil Matte Veil Cream Soleil bronzer. It's their cream bronzer. It's from their newer collection. There was only 3 reviews on this on Sephora, but they were all really positive, and they were begging for this to be a permanent product. So I'm just gonna apply this very, very lightly because I'm scared. It looks very dark. And I'm gonna use a foundation brush. This one is the Morphe E57. I just apply it usually with a foundation brush, and then I'll blend it out with something else, but I just like applying it with this because it's a little more precise. So I'm gonna just do my cheekbones, my temples. Usually I go for something a little bit warmer, so we shall see. Blending really nicely. So that created a pretty good shadow. Usually I do something a little bit warmer, but I feel like I'm just special because I don't like cool tone anything. But I'm gonna quickly set my under eye because I don't want it to crease. And I'm using the La Prairie Cellular Powder. I posted it on Instagram that I got it as a gift from Bloomingdale's. It's really expensive. It's like $100, but you do get 2 of them. You get like a large size and then like this cute little travel one, which is the one that I'm using right now, which has an eyelash in it. You know it's mine if there's an eyelash in it, for real, because I have eyelash pieces everywhere. I even found one on Coco. Poor baby. I'm gonna use that powder to set my whole face. It does have a faint smell, this powder, like flowers, I guess, or perfume, which I know not everyone is a fan of, but I don't mind it. And I'm just gonna wipe away that baking powder as well. I am liking the Laura Mercier a little bit more now that I've set my whole face. But to set that and to warm up my face, I'm gonna use this new LC Cosmetics bronzer in medium. I'm so excited to actually use this because in my other try on video, I like barely tried it. So I'm using my Zoeva Luxe Contour, which I love, and this color is really warm. I do have this as well in the shade Tan, which is a little bit like cooler, has a little bit more actually red undertones. This one's a little bit more yellow, which I like. So I'm just going to set that cream bronzer and then just bronze up my temples as well. This stuff is really pigmented, but very blendable. It's very creamy. I really need to pop in an inner corner highlight. It's like bugging me that I don't have one on. So I'm gonna pop in that white shade from the Natasha Denona palette right in the inner corners. Ooh, it's so pigmented. I can't tell if it's matte or shimmer. It's like a frosty matte. I can dig it. I can definitely dig it. I'm kind of happy that it's not super shimmery because sometimes you just need a good white in the palette that doesn't have shimmer. This one is super pigmented. I'm digging that. I'm gonna contour my nose. I'm using this Laura Mercier Soleil matte powder. This one is a lot lighter than the contour, and I love that it says J'adore le soleil. Ooh, it smells really good too. It's like a tropical scent. And I'm using this Dose of Colors shader brush, and I'm just going to lightly contour my nose. I think I want to be adventurous and use this NARS blush, liquid blush in Luster. I see a lot of people twisting it, but it actually has a pump. I know everyone's been kind of opening this up and kind of being weirded out that it's like a paddle kind of thing, but it does have a pump, no shade. So I'm just going to pump some onto my hand, and I don't know how this is gonna go. I already powdered my face. This is very ballsy of me right now, but I'm gonna go for it because why not, right? It's a first impressions. And I do have some powder near my nose, so I'm gonna try to avoid that. I'm gonna apply a little bit, just a little bit to the balls of my cheeks. Oh, okay. Not as scary as I thought it was gonna be. That actually blended out really nicely on top of powder. I thought that was gonna be really bad because I've already powdered, but it's actually not bad at all. Ooh, I'm feeling this, girl. It actually gave me a little bit of a sheen too. I just asked you guys on Snapchat what color I should smoke out my lower lash line with. Thinking either cranberry, yellow, orange, or black. So I really like that, and just to set it, I'm going to use the Natasha Denona Duo Glow Blush in Alba. This is the peachy one. It does have a little bit of some sheen. Oh yes. It has a glow to it, but it's not making my cheeks look super dry. Feeling that heavy. And you should see the mess that I've created. And I'm going to wipe away this powder on my nose and also blend that nose contour while I'm at it. I kind of just blend this way. Some Goof Proof on the brow. Fix it up a little bit. I forgot how creamy this was. It's very, very pigmented. Okay, so you guys have spoken. You guys want me to use cranberry on my lower lash line or some kind of red, burnt, orange, reddy kind of thing. So I'm going to first do cranberry and then smoke it out with orange. So I'm using the cranberry shade from the palette. right over her. And I'm using a Kat Von D brush, and I'm just going to smoke out my lower lash line. It's kind of hard to do without making a face and without getting off frame. Oh my god, that is so pigmented. Oh, I put my eye. I hate when I get eyeshadow in my eye. A little dog fight going on outside. And I feel like applying this a little bit right here. That orange just keeps disappearing. I don't know what's going on there. And then I'm going to take the orange from the palette and go right underneath. Back to using this orange liner that I used in my last video. This is the Orange Crush by Marc Jacobs. I'm going to apply my lower lash mascara. I use MAC Extended Play Giga Black, and then I've been using the Calvin Aquan Volume Mascara as well. I'm going to apply a teeny bit of this Iconic Illuminator, and this is in the shade Original. I'm just going to apply a little bit to my cheeks. Ooh, I'm very impressed with all of the creams that I'm using today. That NARS blush and this illuminator are going on so nicely on top of powder. Very strange, but I'm not mad at it. I only did a little bit because I'm kind of scared to use more, but I'm definitely going to be using this more often. And for an illuminator, I'm going to use the Jouer Skinny Dip Highlight. This is new. Haven't even swatched it. Let's go ahead and apply that right on top. Yes. A little bit on my nose. A little bit over here. I kind of like this golden shade instead of that white, so I'm using Skinny Dip in the inner corners instead. I think it just looks better. More golden vibes, you know what I mean? For a lip pencil, I'm using MAC Strip Down. Ain't nothing new there, baby. Liquid lipstick, I'm going to use the iluvsarahii Color Pop liquid lipstick in 951. I love the gold top. So cute, such a nice touch. This is actually kind of dark for what I'm going for. We're just gonna put it on and fix it in a second. To lighten that, I'm going to apply Pure Hollywood right on top. I'm going to apply some gloss. This is the iluvsarahii Color Pop Ultra Glossy Lip in Curvy. Oh, I love this gloss. So I sprayed some Morphe setting spray, which really just made everything look a lot better. I was just looking a little cakey, but I feel like I'm just a little too bronze under here, like right under my eye. So I'm going to use the Kat Von D setting powder in light, not setting powder, I'm sorry, blotting powder in light right underneath where I smoked out. I don't want to get too close to it because I still want that smokiness, but I just want to lighten up a little bit, and also in the center of my face. I want my lips a little bit peachier, so I'm going to apply this Kiko gloss in 03. It does have some shimmer. Ooh, that's so nice. I love these Kiko glosses. They're so hydrating. They're the Hydra glosses, so that makes sense. And they're like super glossy. Super glossy. If you want like that 3D plump look, try these Kiko ones out. Oh, they're so nice. I never know how to take out this foundation from my hair. I just use a wipe, but I want to find a better way. I know a lot of people use like headbands to do their makeup, but I feel like then the headband gets really dirty and it still gets on my baby hairs, you know? The headbands don't like take back everything, so I just use like either makeup remover or a wipe. So I hate when these edges right here, these baby hairs look white. So this is the completed look. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was long, but this kind of eyeshadow takes a lot of patience, a lot of time, a lot of blending, and I was just kind of experimenting. I've never done this look before, so overall this palette, I do like it, but I will say that the yellow is fading a lot ever since I first put it on. Like, it just doesn't look as bright as I wish it was. It just looks kind of like more like a mustard, where in the actual palette it looks really bright. That I'm kind of like iffy about. The cranberry shade in here is super pigmented, pigmented. I think this is a good palette if you absolutely love warm colors, you like experimenting with color, because you don't really get too much neutrals in this, or if you're just a collector. But the browns are nice. Again, I just wish they had a transition shade. But so far the mattes, they're nice, but they're kind of fading off. I completely understand why matte shades are super hard to make very vibrant. The Juvia's Place Nubian palette, the 2, that one is super pigmented. Like, that orange is no joke. It doesn't go anywhere. This orange was really disappointing for me. It just wasn't pigmented, and even when you swatch it, it's just not that pigmented. I like a really strong orange, where this is more of just like a henna. It's like a muted orange. It's not super vibrant. As soon as I saw this, I knew I wanted to use the yellow and the orange. So if you're looking for a palette to experiment with, this one is really good. I didn't really like the Visar or the Viseart warm palette, but I do like the neutral one. So if you're looking for a good neutral palette, I would go with that one, or the Melt Cosmetics Dark Matter Stack is great. But this one, I love it. I just don't think everyone would be able to get a lot of use out of it, because the colors are kind of out there, but yet they're not super pigmented, but they're still orange, yellow, cranberry. I totally do not regret this purchase. I'm gonna play with it a little bit more. Maybe next time use a white base instead. Maybe that'll make it a little bit more vibrant. The Jouer Skinny Dip highlight looks super wet. It's like so perfect. It is a little bit more bronzy. I'm used to something a little bit lighter, so if you're darker than me, you're gonna love it so much. They do have an even darker one that just came out. I believe it's called Tan Lines. That one would be perfect for you too, but I love Jouer highlights. They're like no other. They're so soft, so I really liked that. I loved the ColourPop iluvsarahii lippies. I did have to adjust it a little bit because of this look, but I know that I'm going to be using those 2 colors a lot more because I love nudes. I'm really picky with my nudes, but I loved those. This NARS blush really shocked me. I love this. The color Luster, gorgeous, looks so good, blended nicely on top of a powder. What more could you ask for? The Iconic London, another win. I really like this. I want to try the other one I have. It's like a pinky. This one's the original, and it just looks so good on top of powder, which is, again, crazy. The Smashbox primer, I'll have to use again, but I do like how my face looks. So I don't know if it was this, I don't know if it was the foundation, I don't know if it was the Sisley, but I love all of those. I love the Hourglass foundation, I love the Sisley primer, and so far I really like this one, especially because I have dry skin. I mean, it felt really hydrating on the face. Natasha Denona Duo Glow Blush, thumbs up from me, really like that. The Elsie bronzer I loved. I feel like all the products today really worked well. Unlike my other video, I was just like so stressed out. I was just not liking anything, but that's just how it goes. Some days your makeup is just not with you, and other days it's like, we homies. Other days it's just not cooperating. The Laura Mercier, I think I like the powder version better than the cream bronzer, just because I like warmer bronzers. But if you like contour colors, it blended out really nicely, the cream, but I loved the powder. The Kiko gloss, love. I had already used a different shade. I already knew I liked it. And the Glue Boo, I don't feel like my eyes were getting irritated, so this is also a win. I feel like every product today was a win. But Natasha Denona, in my last video, I was a little upset with that contour palette, because I mean, I like warm shades for my face, and they just weren't warm at all, to keep it real. But this palette, I do like it. I mean, I just can't stop staring at the lower lash line. I love that cranberry shade, so definitely check it out once it comes back in stock. You can also order it on Beautylish. I know it's sold out right now, but when it comes back, you can order it on Beautylish. And I do love that it's cheaper than the other palettes, like the other bigger palettes, because $300 is a lot for a palette. I do have one that's like, I think it was like $350 or something like that, and I barely ever use it, but I like the size on this one. I think she should come out with more of these. I would love to see a neutral palette from her in this kind of size. So overall, I'm really happy with the way this look came out. Thank you guys for helping me come up with a color for my lower lash line, and just for the tutorial in general. I knew I wanted to do something with yellow, but you guys were telling me to do a sunset palette, so that's what we did today. So that concludes this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.